Welcome to my channel Livestock Products Technology. As you know, there is a course on fish processing at the postgraduate level in Livestock Products Technology. So we are doing a series of lecture on this course, and this is equally important for the postgraduation in fisheries discipline. There is a fish processing technology discipline for which there is postgraduate studies. So today's topic is about smoking of fish. We are discussing about the preservation of fish. The smoking is actually both preservation and processing. In this lecture we will discuss the old concept of smoking, the modern concept, the method of generation of smoke, the quality of smoke and its scientific aspect, and we will discuss different methods of smoking and the practical approach for making processed smoked fish and several other aspects. First, let us understand what is smoking. It is a slow way of broiling and has preservative action. So here the wood smoke is applied, the fish is kept over the fire and the smoke is absorbed. So smoking is done basically for two purposes. One is for preservation, another is for flavor. But in the modern developed countries, preservation is not a issue. So here it becomes more important for flavor. But it is still common in less developed countries where refrigeration is not well developed or not easily available, or the transportation facilities are not very good. So in such conditions, smoking is still a very good method for preservation, whereas it is becoming popular in developed countries for the taste and flavor, because smoking imparts an excellent special flavor. So in case of smoking, here the fish is placed in close proximity to the fire and the fish is cooked and saturated with smoke, and it gives a very special flavor. So smoking plays the role both for preservation and for flavor. For developed countries it is mainly for flavor, and for underdeveloped or undeveloped countries it is mainly for preservation. So once again here I wish to highlight the effect of smoking. It is a old preservation method, still useful for underdeveloped countries, whereas for the developed countries it is for flavor. So smoke imparts flavor and reduce the water or drying effect, so it becomes a preservation also. Here briefly we will understand some of the aspects about the smoking of fish. So smoke from burning wood contains a number of antibacterial compounds, and heat from fire causes both drying and cooking if the temperature is high, and that helps in also preservation because of the heat and drying. Both of these prevents both bacterial activity and enzyme activity, and it prevents spoilage, so it is a good preservation by heat and drying, and also the antibacterial effect of the compounds present in smoke. Fish smoking done by cold smoking, hot smoking and liquid smoking, which we will discuss in details later. Hot smoking is preferred because it improves the shelf life of the product for a longer period. That's why it is more desirable. Whereas there is a modern concept of liquid smoking, which is more healthy, because in hot smoking sometimes it generates carcinogenic compounds. There is a lot of awareness about it. So the liquid smoke eliminates such toxic compounds and the problems can be eliminated. Here briefly we will discuss about the smoke generation. Smoke is generally generated by the burning of hard wood at high temperature, and this high temperature also causes cooking, rapid drying and reaction between smoke and food. So it causes browning reaction and gives a desirable color. And the dry surface, if the raw material is already dry, then the absorption of smoke will not be good, so it should not be dried already. And optimum smoke generation is done at 550 degree Fahrenheit, that is near 300 degrees Celsius. So if the temperature is higher than that, the smoke may be more, but it will have more harmful components. So it should be around 300 to 350 degrees Celsius, not beyond that. So that smoke is ideal for the purpose of smoking of fish or meat. So smoking can be at a different temperature. So we say cold smoking and hot smoking. This we are going to discuss even details later. So cold smoking means there is ordinary room temperature around 30 to 35 degrees Celsius. Here the smoke is generated by burning the wood or wood scrapings or sawdust, and the smoke is carried separately to a chamber without much heating arrangement. Whereas in case of hot smoking, the direct heat is applied over the product or meat or fish. So here the temperature can be 70 to 80 degrees Celsius. So it will have a cooking effect and also drying effect. So it will have more preservative effect and more shelf life. Here we will see about the nature of smoke or composition of smoke. Basically the smoke will have two phase. One is the particle phase, another is the vapor phase. This vapor phase will have at least about 200 chemicals, those of carbonyls, organic acids, phenols, organic bases, alcohols, hydrocarbons and others. And some of them are having antibacterial property, some of them have antioxidant property, like formaldehyde is having antibacterial property, whereas phenols has got antioxidant property. And all these components also impart color and give special flavor to the smoked product. Here we will talk about the smoke velocity. This is an important factor about the efficiency of smoking or absorption of smoking. So faster the velocity, better will be the penetration or absorption. So absorbed smoke near the surface is replenished when the speed is high or velocity is more, and stagnant film on surface decreases with the higher speed and the diffusion path shortens. So high velocity smoke is desirable for better absorption and better efficiency of smoking. Now we will talk briefly about the liquid smoke. So here the smoke is absorbed by a liquid and concentrated. Generally it has been found that if we as such generate smoke by burning the wood at a very high temperature, it produces some carcinogenic compounds, and all these compounds are present in particle phase. So after producing the smoke by burning, this smoke is put into the water where this particle phase will settle down, and then it is filtered. So we will get only the vapor phase. The vapor phase has all the preservative and other flavoring components. So we can eliminate the harmful components. So that liquid, that is water, along with this smoke is called liquid smoke. So this is rapid, uniform, but different from the real smoke. So this liquid can be added directly in processing of comminuted products, or it can be used directly dipping the meat cuts, etc. Now we will discuss about methods of smoking. Any kind of fish can be smoked, and there are 3 or 4 different methods of smoking. First is smoking and roasting together. Second is hot smoking. There is also one cold smoking where no high temperature will be there. Another is long smoking. The types of fish suitable for smoking, that is mostly the fish with a higher oil content like salmon, trout and mackerel are often preferred for smoking as they tend to hold the smoke flavor well. So fishes with high oil content are more suitable for holding the flavor and in smoked fish. Now we will discuss about the first method, that is smoking and roasting. This is a simple method of preservation for immediate consumption or within 12 hours. Here the re-smoking and roasting can keep it good for another 12 hours. So if it is not consumed within 12 hours, there will be a re-smoking so that it can be kept for another 12 hours. The fresh unsalted fish is put over a wood or coconut husk fire. So unsalted fish kept over the fire, and this would be kept very small in quantity, and the fish turned every 5 minutes. In about half an hour, the fish is ready for consumption. Salted fish can also be smoked by this method. So this is about smoking and roasting, mostly for direct consumption, not for long term. Now the second method is hot smoking. The hot smoking system can be used for immediate consumption or to keep the fish for a maximum of 48 hours. The small fish can be salted first for half an hour, or we can go for wet salting or wet curing. After salting, they are put on iron spits and dried in a windy place or in the sun for another half an hour. And for this, it is necessary to have an oil drum to make the smoking stove, and over the stove there will be fire created, either wood or the coconut husk, etc. And over that there will be grills on which the cured fish or salted fish will be kept, and the smoking will be done. The third method is the long smoking. To keep fish for a long time, for 2 to 3 months or more, this method is followed, but the fish should be less oily or not oily. Fatty fish is not suitable for this. For this purpose, a small closed shade is made with palm leaves or other local materials. The dimension of the shade depends on the quantity of fish to be smoked, but the height should be at least 6 feet. In this shade, racks are built from which the fish can be hanged, or a mat is created, a rack is created for keeping the fish over that. Hanging the fish on spits is the best method, but they can also be laid on loosely woven matting or racks. So either by hanging or keeping on the racks, the smoking is applied. Now we will learn about the steps in modern smoking. The first step is preparation or cleaning of fish, like the scales, head, fins, tail and viscera are to be removed, and fish are washed with clean cold water. The second step is curing of fish. It can be done by two ways, as we have discussed earlier also, that is wet curing and dry curing. In wet curing, 3 cups of table salt, 1.5 cups of brown sugar and 1 gallon of cold water mixed properly in a non-metallic container. Then fish is completely immersed in this solution that is called brine, and 1 gallon of brine is sufficient for curing 4 pounds of fish. It is then refrigerated or kept in ice bags to keep the fish cool, and this brining is done for 2 to 6 hours. So this is about the second step, wet curing. So here is the another method of curing, that is dry curing. In this, salt is rubbed directly on the fish. For this, 3 parts of brown sugar is mixed with 1 part of salt, and fish fillets are placed in a deep non-metallic pan. The fish is covered with dry cure mix and kept in refrigerator for 18 to 24 hours. During dry curing, moisture will come out of the fish and making liquid brine, which we have discussed earlier also in the curing lecture. After curing, fish are taken out, rinsed lightly, pat dried and placed on paper towel and air dried for 1 hour. So now this is ready for the next step, for actual smoking. So the third step is drying of fish. After the curing, the cured fish are dried before it is going for smoking. Drying forms a pellicle or glaze on the skin, which keeps moisture in and contamination out, and allows the smoke to adhere properly or absorb properly to get smoky flavor and uniform color. Drying can be done in cool shady place or in smoker racks. The fourth step, that is the actual smoking. The fish may be cold or hot smoked, as I have told earlier, cold smoking and hot smoking. Smoked fish may be kept for many months in freezer, but in refrigerator, cold smoked fish may be kept for few months and hot smoked may be kept for only few weeks. The smoking requires a smoke source, a smoking chamber and an air ventilation system. So in smoking there is two methods. One is cold smoking. The fish is smoked at low temperature for long time. For this, fish is placed in smoker having temperature about 35 degrees Celsius. The smoking time for small fish may be 24 hours and for large fish it may be 3 to 4 days of continuous smoking. In case of hot smoking, the fish is placed in smoker having temperature of about 60 degrees Celsius for the first 2 hours, and during this period fish will get a light brown color. Then in the second phase, the temperature is raised gradually to about 80 degree and smoking is done for 4 to 8 hours. So this is the details about the two option of smoking, either by cold smoking or hot smoking. This is the last step, that is cooling and packaging. After smoking is completed, the fish are cooled and then packaged in suitable packaging material and stored. So this packaging can be aerobic, vacuum packaging or modified atmosphere packaging. So this is to some extent dried, so aerobic packaging also can give good shelf life, but because of the presence of air it will cause oxidation. Whereas vacuum packaging is a good option where the packaging material should be air impermeable, like laminated plastic or multi-layer packaging where the air is completely removed, or the modern modified atmosphere packaging give a much higher shelf life where the very thick multi-layer packaging material should be used and the air should be completely removed and a newly mixed modified air is added, like inert gas, nitrogen, etc. at a very high percentage, and that gives a very long shelf life. Now we will discuss actual processing of smoked fish. First is about the raw material, because raw material quality is very important for the final product quality. The pelagic fishes with high fat content is ideal for this smoked fish processing, but based on product, fish of varying fat also can be used. Fish for smoking should be kept chilled and is best when iced for 2 days. In certain cases, non-fatty fishes are also used. Fish may be smoked whole or after splitting and gutting. So this is basic aspect about the raw material for making smoked fish. The methods for processing smoked fish, we are discussing the actual process. The steps in processing are salting or curing, then hanging for drying, then actual smoking. It could be cold smoking, hot smoking, closed or indirect or liquid smoke. Then there can be cooking along with the smoking, and then finally cooling and then packaging. So these are the steps briefly we will discuss for preparation of smoked fish. So now we will discuss about the salting or curing, which can be done by dry method or wet method, that is by brine solution. The size of the fish, fat content, whether the fish is whole, gutted, split or cut, and the presence or absence of skin, these factors decides the duration and type of salting. In case of brine solution, the 70 to 80% solution is ideal. If the higher concentration, then there will be unattractive appearance. If the lower concentration, the longer periods required and longer drying time is required. In dry salting, uptake of salt is higher, hence soaked in water, later it needs soaking to remove the salt. The ideal concentration of salt in the final cured fish is 2 to 3%. Next step is the drying by hanging. So either by dry curing or wet curing, there will be using of water that has to be dried. So this is done to dry fishes to ensure efficient smoking. Excessive drying interfere development of off flavor, so you should not dry too much. Drying in open air, hot air dryer or smoke chamber, it can be done. In case of salmon, split salmon suspended by the tail and kept flat open by sticks or skewers threaded through flares. Hanging or oven spreading on wire mesh trays also can be done for drying. Now we will discuss about the actual smoking. It is done by two methods, either by cold smoking or hot smoking, which we have already discussed. The cold smoking is a mild process. Fish not even partially cooked. There will be no cooking. The temperature will be around 30-35 degrees Celsius. So this is done in two stages. Initially very low temperature around 30 to dry the fish. In the second stage, temperature will be slightly high. It will be 40 to 45 degree and the relative humidity will be 70 to 80%. The relative humidity should be adjusted. It depends on the flame which dampers open or closed. The right proportion of temperature, relative humidity and ventilation will give the desired product of smoking. Another method of smoking, that is hot smoking. Here the fish is first dried in the kiln before smoking. Initially drying at 75 to 80 degrees Celsius for an hour and then smoking at 95 to 100 degrees Celsius for another 1 hour. Drying is done in an intense hot air at 75 to 80 degrees Celsius produced by burning fire, and smoke is produced by covering the burning logs with sawdust and the temperature maintained above 100 degrees Celsius. Here the fish is cooked even to the extent of partial sterilization. So this is the best method for hot smoking. Both smoking and cooking is done simultaneously. Now we will see about the benefits of smoking fish. First is the preservation. Smoking helps preserve fish by reducing moisture content and inhibiting bacterial growth. Also high heat causes the drying and inactivating the enzymes, and it also prevents bacterial growth and make the product last longer or higher shelf life. Second is flavor enhancement. As I told earlier, there is a lot of flavoring components in the smoke, so that imparts a distinct smoky flavor and texture, and many people really like such typical flavor of smoke. The third is tenderization. Smoking can make fish more tender and flaky due to the long-term exposure to low heat, so meat becomes more tender. And finally, reduced need for refrigeration. Smoking can allow for longer storage without refrigeration, making it a useful technique for preserving fish in certain situations. Where there is no refrigeration facility, it can help in storing meat or fish for 1 or 2 days or more. Now briefly we will discuss about the safety of smoked fish. So there are a lot of awareness nowadays that smoked fish can cause cancer. So actually smoke itself has some carcinogenic substances, particularly polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons like benzopyrene and benzanthracene, but these components are produced at a very high temperature above 350, 400 or 500 degrees Celsius. So at the beginning I have mentioned the smoke should be generated below 350 or 300 degrees Celsius. so that these components will not be produced. Secondly, if we produce liquid smoke where the particle phase is removed by filtration, so along with this particle phase all the harmful components are removed. Sometimes there is another issue with nitrosamine which is known to be carcinogenic. So this comes from the curing where the nitrates or nitrites are used, and from these nitrosamines are produced, which some of the secondary nitrosamines are seems to be carcinogenic. Sometimes nitrous oxide is also present in smoke, but it is in a very low concentration. So overall it is not that much to be scared, particularly if the smoke is generated at a low temperature around 300 to 350 degree Celsius. Here we can see a photograph for a large size of smokehouse. The bigger fishes are hanging in a line and the smoke is filled completely saturated in the chamber. A modern smokehouse for large scale smoking of fish. Here we can see another big size smoking facility where we have multiple stacks of a large size where the fish is arranged and it will be inserted for smoking, multi-rack, multi-tier, multi-story type. So now we are at the end of today's lecture and I will summarize. Today we have discussed about the smoking of fish. It is both a preservation and processing method. In early days it was a good method for preservation, but nowadays in modern developed countries where the modern methods of preservation has come, so its role as preservation has reduced, but it is having a very important value as flavoring. So smoked flavor is very much liked by all, whereas in the undeveloped countries smoking is a good choice for preservation. So here we have discussed what is smoking, what is the old concept, what is the new concept, how the smoke is generated, what are the components in smoke, and how these components plays the role of preservation, also what are the harmful components. Then I have discussed different methods of smoking like hot smoking, cold smoking, or long smoking, liquid smoking. I have discussed steps for modern methods of smoking including curing, drying, smoking, packaging, and later I have discussed the actual applied processing for making the smoked fish, and little bit I have discussed about the benefits and the risk or health risk for the smoked products. Thank you.